Hello, this is Dr. Brodski. Hello to my viewers, hello to my Valido colleagues. Today's topic is how can I stay as well and healthy as I possibly can? And of course, we're going to be talking about the immune system. And you all already know about the white cells that fight infection. You know about different types of white cells. Some of them fight infection at the level of the skin if there is a wound. Others have antibodies that they produce, and they keep the memory of the infections that we have been exposed to in the past. And it's a fairly complicated system, our immune system. Of course, we know about the skin, which is a barrier to the external world, and it's got immune system of its own. But this is not the topic of today's talk. We're going to be talking about the immune system from a more holistic, if you like, spiritual perspective. And what it means to me is really looking at what we are as human beings. Now, some of you will have a very strong knowledge about our energy. So some of you will definitely say, yes, we do have energy. We have an energy body. And we can also call that body etheric body, okay? And some of you will say that, well, we also have spirit and soul. And I totally agree with you. And of course, we have the physical body. So in fact, that gives us a certain fourfoldness. So the human beings, as human beings, we have spirit, we have soul, we have energy body, and we have the physical body. So actually, this is our makeup. Now, in my understanding and experience, for us to have a strong immune system and be resilient, we do need this fourfoldness to be in harmony and attuned. And what I mean by that, now this is where it can get very complicated, and I'm going to keep it as simple as I can, because actually the way our spirit interacts with our soul with our etheric with the physical, there can be so many aberrations in terms of how it happens. But let's just look at what happens in our modern life, because this is relevant to all of us, and it predisposes us to illness, and it predisposes us to anxiety. So really, it's the etheric body that gets damaged for most people in modern life, that becomes weak. And of course, weak etheric or energy body means also poor healing and tendency towards illness, tendency to catch bacteria. Oh, not to catch necessarily, because actually we have a microbiome in our bowels. We have microbiome on our skin and so on. So we live in harmony with bacteria. But what happens when our etheric body is weak is that we tend to lose the balance, and these bacteria can overgrow, the viruses can overgrow and multiply and almost take over. So our etheric body is actually paramount to our health, and it needs to be in balance with the soul. The soul needs to radiate its health-giving influences into the etheric body, and so the I also needs to be in control of the soul. So you see, it's almost like a pyramid effect, from the I to the soul to the energy body to the physical, and our whole makeup is like an orchestra, and the I is like a conductor. So we need to be in tune, and when the I is orchestrating the whole orchestra, then we're healthy. And of course, this is like a huge topic. It might be also interesting for you to look at this from this perspective. So part of being healthy, from my experience, and it is, by this point, I feel it's a substantial experience. Part of being healthy, actually, for human beings, is that we, as the spirit, as the I, have a purpose in life. And there is research that has been done to show that people who have strong sense of purpose have stronger immune systems. So it might be a good question to think of, in fact, every day. Some personal development coaches suggest, in fact, that we have our top few goals, like long-term goals, written, and we look at them every day so that we can attune the rest of our day to be in harmony with those goals. So, believe it or not, having a purpose in life is directly connected with strong immune system. I know it's really exciting and it's really strange, but here it is, and I stand by those words. So having a purpose. Now on the level of soul, what is healthy for our soul? Soul is the seat of our feelings, of course, and the health of the soul is when there is balance and where the I is orchestrating the feelings and it's in control. So this is where anxiety can happen, and it happens a lot these days. We have pandemics of anxiety, and it of course predisposes us to all sorts of illnesses, because people who are anxious and depressed have much lower immune systems compared to those who are not anxious and depressed. So creating a balance in our soul, and of course you may be asking, well, what does that mean? And again, each of these things is a big topic in itself, but to give you a gist, balance in the soul really means a sort of equanimity, when we are not making fast judgments, when we are not prone to losing control of our feelings, we're not prone to having fits of anger. It's actually being in balance and being peaceful. Not peaceful all the time, I mean that's a little bit too far-fetched, but being able to find that peace within. Now let's look at the etheric body, or our energy body. What does it mean for our etheric to be healthy? And we'll come back to that, talk about this in more detail, because this is important. Our etheric body is really responsible for all the rhythms in our system, in our body. And whatever we do that's rhythmical, so for example, eating roughly at the same time, sleeping at the same time, getting good sleep every night, is going to support our energy or etheric body. And of course then we come to the physical, and you already know so much about how to keep the physical body healthy. I will only touch on this briefly before we move on. Of course it's nutrition, and of course it is exercise. I just want to say, in regard to nutrition, in my experience what gets missed a lot is that most of us tend to be somewhat vitamin C deficient, because bananas and apples and so on, they have very little vitamin C, and actually our body requires vitamin C on an everyday basis. We're using it up to repair the tissues, especially those people who do running, do impact training, or are going through an illness. We need more vitamin C. But of course not all vitamin C is made equal, so I suggest, so some of you will be doing green juicing every day, then you're fine. And I do green juicing, but not every day, I can't manage. So on the days when I don't do green juicing, what I do, I take lime or a lemon, I squeeze them out, and actually I mix them with water and I drink that through a straw. So that you don't dissolve your teeth. And that way, if you have either green juice every day or just like a citrus, and of course oranges have some vitamin C, but nowhere near as much as limes and lemons. So have at least one lime or lemon a day, every day, and you will be surprised what your immune system does with that. You will feel so much healthier. And the other thing I want to say about the physical body is related to exercise. A lot of people tell me, well, I do running, and I say, fantastic, what else? And they say running, and that's fantastic. I have a lot of respect for runners, and this is beautiful, but I just want to point out that actually there are three types of exercise, and I would say we need a combination of all three. So running and swimming, for example, cycling, are all training our cardiovascular health, so heart and lungs, and this is awesome. We really need that. But there's also weight training, which means muscle building. I would say we need a little bit of that, all of us do. And the third one is stretching and strengthening, so that would be Pilates and yoga. And the reason I wanted to bring it to you that this is so important is because, in my experience, you can have a 30-year-old, well, in my experience, because I see these things, 30-year-old who bends over to do his shoes up, his back is gone, and for weeks he's in pain, he can't function. And this does not happen to people who do stretches and strengthening, such as yoga, such as Pilates, at least several times a week, okay? So if you can't do several times a week, just do it once, and it already goes a long way. So I just give you an example. So when you do back bends, for example, what it does, it really improves the blood supply to the whole spine, and it improves the healing, so, and repair. Because even at the age of 30, if I'm gonna x-ray people, some of them will already have arthritis, and it's fine. It's fine because wear and tear starts. But in my experience, those people who do stretches and strengthening, their joints are much healthier, and they're certainly pain-free compared to the group that do not do any stretches. And the group that do not do any stretches are very vulnerable to injuries. So they're not gonna fall over and get up and go. They're gonna fall over and sprain something and stretch something and then be debilitated for a week, 2, 3 or more, despite of their young age. And of course, as we grow older, we have to take much more care. So I suggest that we all do stretches and strengthening a few times a week. We do some weight training a little bit. It could be 5 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be a lot. And we do some form of cardiovascular, heart and lung training, such as running, cycling, etc. So this is all I want to say about the physical body. Now, let's go back to our energy body, because our energy body, in fact, is the seed and the seed of our health. What it does, it looks after the physical body, and it guides all the processes, and it guides the repair, and it guides the healing. So etheric body that is weak, say from modern life, that is destructive for it, is not going to prevent illness as well as etheric body that is strong. And of course, it's not gonna help us recover if we fall ill, as well as the etheric body that is strong. So let's just go through what weakens our etheric bodies in modern life. Okay, of course, you already know that it's part of aging, right? So it's part of aging that we gradually become less strong and so on. But that's not what we're talking about right now. So other things that weaken our etheric bodies are all activities that we do that we're not connecting with, that we're not present with those activities, and we're not present at our core. So in other words, we do those activities unwillingly. So for example, jobs that we don't like are very destructive of our etheric body, because you see, the I doesn't really engage with the soul doesn't really produces health-giving radiations into the etheric or energy body, and the etheric body gets weakened through that. The other huge example in modern times is multitasking. And I take no apologies for this. I know, like, ladies, you love to say to men, well, ladies, we can multitask. I mean, there is certain charm in it, but I feel there is also a certain untruthfulness in it, because in my personal experience, what multitasking results in is that we are A, not present, and B, that we're switching between various activities, and actually it increases our anxiety levels. So I do not multitask. I really do not. And even when I'm at work, in my NHS work, and I have to read letters, and if my patients keep talking at me, I actually ask them to give me a minute to read a letter, because otherwise I make mistakes, and I get more anxious, and it's actually bad. It's just bad for our etheric body when we multitask. So think about it. If you want to multitask, consider that it may actually not be good for you, and also feel it. Just experience what it does to your mental state, what it does to your balance, okay? Another example of a destructive activity for our energy or etheric body is the way we learn these days at school and so on. So cramming. So what do we do when we cram? We sit there, we don't really want to do it, we kind of have to do it, and we learn quickly everything we can to just forget it, I don't know, just after the exam or so. And again, we're not fully present with it, our eye doesn't fully connect with it, and of course our energy body just gets damaged because it's not a healthy way to operate. This fourfoldness loses its integrity basically, and to stay healthy we need to prioritize the integrity of our fourfoldness. So what I mean by that the I actually is in control of the soul, and that's hard. We come back to that. The soul is in control of the etheric, and then etheric can support and heal the physical. This is a lot of information, and some of it may sound difficult to grasp, and it is truly so. I have been working with this for many years, and I practice this and I think about it, and you know, it's hard. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna underneath this video give you a reference where you can read more, and also I'm gonna give you some bullet points about what it is that I'm talking about, so that you can come back to this and contemplate this, because in my experience that's what it takes. We need to come back, give ourselves time and peace and contemplate this. Now, the main point, now we're going to talk about how we strengthen our etheric body. And that also means that we're going to strengthen our immune system. Okay. These are very simple exercises. They only take 5 minutes a day. You can do more if you want, but the core of it is doing it every day. It's fine if you miss a day, just don't give up, basically. It's about persevering with these exercises, and I know because I've been doing them for many years, and I feel I wouldn't be where I am without them, I wouldn't be who I am without them, I wouldn't have the health that I have, and so on and so forth. So I want to share with you very simple exercises to strengthen our energy or our etheric body. Okay, so again, thinking about the fourfoldness, we improve the integrity of our fourfoldness when our I is present, when it controls the soul, and the soul then controls the etheric, and the etheric then supports the physical. So, exercise number 1 for strengthening the etheric or the energy body is changing a habit. It takes a lot of effort, but this is exactly why it works, because then we are very present. Example, changing handwriting. I'm not sure how relevant it is for modern human beings, because we don't write that much, we type. Another example, brushing your teeth with the left hand if you're right-handed, or with the right hand if you're left-handed. Walking in a different way, changing your posture when you sit, but consistently so you have to remember about it and just work on this consistently till it becomes a habit, i.e. you don't need to think about it anymore, you just do it. It's like learning a new skill. And the more we do this, the stronger our energy body will be, the stronger our immune system will be, the better we will be recovering from any illness should we fall ill. It's worth it. Example number 2. This is directly connected with memory because our energy body is also the seat of our memory. And we are all somewhat forgetful, some of us more than others. And I put my hand up, I am forgetful. That's why I work on this exercise now for many years, and I do it every day. Very quick exercise. I do this, I take my watch. Now, the exercise is about taking an item that you need, like my watch, every day, every night, and placing it in a different place every night, very consciously. That is the main part of the exercise. So when I take my watch and I put it in an unusual place where I've not put it before, say under the sofa, I picture it to myself that here I am putting this watch under the sofa. I picture what is around me, who is around me, what I'm wearing, and I make myself as much present as I possibly can. And this is the main part of the exercise. I often laugh at myself when I cannot find the watch in the morning, because that's not looking for the watch is not the main part of the exercise at all. The main part of this exercise is actually making this picture for ourselves when we place the watch, so that we're very present and we can remember it. But of course, it's okay to not be able to find it easily the next day, because sometimes this is going to happen. Just do it every day. And actually, it has been strengthening my memory as well. So this is a nice side effect. But of course, the main purpose, strengthening our energy body and hence our immune system. The other way to strengthen our energy body is to think of events backwards. So typically what can be done, you may already know about this. In Germany they call it Rückschau. So in the evening you think through your day backwards. You literally walk backwards, you pour tea backwards, and everything is backwards. And that strengthens our presence so much, and it strengthens our energy, just because the amount of effort that needs to go into it and the amount of presencing that we have to do to be able to achieve it. But it is tremendous. I recommend this. The only important thing with this exercise, do not attempt to do it when you're laying down before you sleep, because you'll just fall asleep. For me, it doesn't even really work when I'm sitting down, because I sort of get too relaxed, and then it takes forever when it actually is meant to take 5 minutes. I haven't managed to do it within 5 minutes yet myself, and I do it standing up these days. So I know it's really strange, but this is how it works for me. Please experiment and do what feels good for you, but consider doing this exercise. So these are examples of how we strengthen our energy or our etheric body, and hence our immune system, our resilience. Now, I want to talk about different type of exercises. These have to do with the control of the I over our soul. So what these achieve is actually, they are the ultimate antidote to anxiety. I have been doing them for years as well, and I've always felt that these exercises are the reason for my sanity, okay? Because modern life pulls us in so many directions, our gadgets, clients, patients, family, obligations, mortgages, better than I do. So, and these exercises, again, very simple. And of course, they, in their turn, because the I gets control of the soul then sends very health-giving influences into the energy body, and the energy supports the physical. So indirectly, these are also health-giving and are supporting our immune system and our resilience. And actually they support our relationships, simply because we have more harmony within, we're more resilient, we're not going to jump up and down at the small stress, every stress of life, which is always going to be there. And modern human beings, we're all very anxious, so we have to do something like these exercises. So the exercise number 1 for this, and again, everything will be down below my video, so you can check this out. So don't worry about remembering this, because it is a lot. Exercise number 1, to strengthen our I, strengthen the control of the I over our soul, is concentration exercise. Some of you already know the joke that goes with it. So you take something like a match, and I'm actually going to get out a match if I have it, because then it's more practical somehow. Take a match and look at it, and then you close your eyes and you just think about this match for 5 minutes. What happens during 5 minutes is that our mind wanders, and the exercise actually exercise concentrates on us being able to bring our focus back to the match every time. And this is where we grow our spiritual muscles, if you like. And it's the same when we grow those spiritual muscles. It's actually the same forces the I learns to control the soul. And this is how when something happens, then we can actually bring ourselves back into focus and have balance and peace inside when actually the circumstances are stressful. It's the same skill. So this exercise of focusing for 5 minutes a day is the most important one, I would say. So experiment with this. But now come back to the joke. So some of you have already heard it from me personally, that there is an interesting story attached to this exercise. So there was a guy who did this exercise with a match, right? And he never changed this object to something else, because we're meant to change this object to something else, like say every week, every 2 weeks. He focused on the match for a long time. And you know what happened? He had to open a match factory, because our thought is very powerful. So there could be side effects to this exercise. So please, you can start with a match. Then I don't have it here, but I have it. You can switch to a pin, for example, later. All right, this is a pin, and so on and so forth. Don't get stuck with a match, otherwise you might want to open a match factory. This was just exercise number 1. I'm gonna tell you more. So, you know, all these exercises that strengthen the control of our I or our spirit over the soul, they are the same exercises that strengthen our will, our ability to do stuff in life, achieve goals, and make a difference. So I feel this is of paramount importance for outside world, as well as for our strength and our immune system and our resilience. So this is a winner all over. Now, to strengthen our will, the exercise consists of foregoing one wish that is harmless to forego. And typical example is a piece of chocolate, okay? I'm not going to say more about this. Experiment and see what it does. The other examples of these sort of exercises to strengthen the control of the I of the soul are withholding judgments. I feel this is one of the hardest ones, but I persist and I do it every day, and it gradually works. So there's so many judgments that we pass about the surrounding world, each other, that are not called for, and they are not serving a purpose. So withholding judgments, and it doesn't mean not saying them out. It means being in a place where you can actually not even think those judgments, not even feel those judgments. Have a go. The last example I'm going to give you is about how we view the world, and the exercise consists of viewing things objectively, viewing people objectively, and taking ourselves out of the equation. So if though our relationship with that person does not impact on how we view them, viewing them objectively. So we've talked a lot about, to summarize, we've talked a lot about exercises that we can do to strengthen our immune system. In summary, our immune system from a spiritual perspective depends on the integrity of our fourfoldness, the I, controlling the soul effectively, the soul radiating healthy influences into the energy etheric body, and etheric body helping regenerate, repair, and maintain the physical body. So try this out for yourselves. This is the reference actually for this, all of this. And I'm gonna post it down below because this is an amazing book, but it's written in an old-fashioned language, but I love it, and it has a lot of wisdom. So I send you lots of love, and if you want to work with me, if you want to practice any particular exercise for health benefits, I will be more than happy to help. Take care.